Hey guys, welcome to the 8th part of What If Deku Could Use 100% One for All from the start. Last time we left off after the joint training exercise between Class 1B and A. Warning: this video contains spoilers for both My Hero Academia, Heroes Rising, and My Hero Academia World Heroes Mission. Continue at your own risk. With everyone caught up, let's begin. A while later, Class 1A is assigned to the Hero Work Recommendation Project sponsored by the Hero Public Safety Commission, on Nabu Island of the coast of Japan. They were sent to the island to perform duties as heroes, acting like their own UA agency without the aid of any teacher. Their work would involve mostly minor deeds with the island's relatively low crime rate. During the project, Eureka gets a call from a little girl who lost her brother somewhere on the island, and calls across the room and asks if anyone can help her to find the lost kid. Deku and Kyoka volunteer. The three search the island and find the little boy named Katsuma Shimano at a nearby park. His older sister, Maruo Shimano, suddenly appears and scolds Deku for taking so long to find them, revealing that she was timing him and the others on their arrival to their location. She angrily scowls at Deku because he took about half an hour late to locate her brother. Deku feels embarrassed and ashamed before Maruo disapproves of him for being a hero, as she doesn't appear to be fond of heroes, and walks away with her brother. Eureka and Kyoka are confused by the exchange, but Deku doesn't mind being scolded by the child as he is just happy the little boy is safe and with his sister. At the end of the day, the class is exhausted from all the hard work and deeds that they've done. Hunter Zero wonders if the small acts are considered to be hero work, so Tenya Ida assures that every deed that happens on the island counts as hero work. Momo then reminds everyone that they may have their provisional licenses, but they are still students. So they will have to put in the hard work to make sure that the island residents can count on them. Hearing this, Minoru Mineta points out to the class that the only one who hasn't done the work since they arrived on the island was Bakugo, who refuses to do small deeds unless there is a villain involved. Shortly after that, the residents of Nabu Island come to the hero office and greet the class with special accommodations of food for dinner as a token of gratitude for all of their hero work. After eating their dinner, Denki, Hunter, and several other students ask Kirishima to join them at the onsen bath and assign Bakugo to be on night patrol. He complains, but the guys remind him that he didn't do any hero work all day long. Unable to argue, Bakugo goes out to patrol the grounds. While Deku is practicing merging his quirks together in different combinations, Katsuma arrives informing them of a villain attack. Hearing this, sweeps high up, demanding him to explain himself, blasting himself to where Katsuma told him, with Deku behind him. Katsuma tells him he saw the villain at the ancient castle ruins located in Mount Shiroyama, on a smaller island next to Nabu. When they arrive on the scene, Bakugo is the first to confront the villain, a giant praying mantis wreaking havoc on the side of the hill. When using stun grenade to blind it, he notices something wrong and stops attacking. Deku arrives shortly afterward and sees the praying mantis attacking Bakugo, but it phases through him. Bakugo then generates a huge explosion that makes Maruo fall from her hiding place, making the giant mantis disappears. Confirming Bakugo's suspicions that the monster was fake because there was no shadow beneath it, meaning the creature was created by Maruo's quirk, hologram. Bakugo is furious as he shouts to the girl if she's trying to make fun of him. He tells her that he's aiming to be number one and doesn't need stupid kids to play pranks on him. He then scolds Maruo and Katsuma with an increasingly angry face for having faked a villain attack, forcing Deku to restrain him for fear that he will hurt the kids, creating an opening for the kids to scurry away while Bakugo struggles to get Deku off him. On the second day, the class resumes to their daily schedule hero work and Deku comes across Katsuma again, who apologizes for his sister's prank last night, with Bakugo also listening to Katsuma's apology from the outside veranda. Katsuma then explains that Maruo was trying to prove that the heroes wouldn't come help, but they did just like he believed. Deku notes that Katsuma has an edge-shot pin on his bag and asks him if he likes heroes. Katsuma says that he really admires heroes and wants to be one even though his quirk isn't suited for combat. However, his sister dislikes heroes and wants to discourage him from ever becoming one. Hearing this, Deku realizes that Maruo doesn't quite hate heroes, she just wants to stop Katsuma from thinking of becoming one because she was afraid that hero work is dangerous. Which reminds him of how his mother, Inko, was worried about his well-being. Deku assures Katsuma that anyone can be a hero as long as they focus on putting in their effort. After Katsuma leaves, one of the residents tells Deku that Katsuma and Maruo live alone with their father on the island. Their mother passed away from a particular illness when they were very young, and the village watches after them while their father is away working. That's why Maruo is very protective of her brother. By sunset, Katsuma meets back with Maruo at the same park where he met Deku and is about to tell his sister about becoming a hero when Nine and his villains hijack a ferry and crash into the Nabu Island harbor. Residents flee as the villains arrived. Once the villains have landed on the island, the villains begin their assault. Nine instructs his allies to do whatever they need to do in order to create distractions while he hunts down the two kids. Slice uses her quirk to destroy all of the ships at the harbor while Nine and the rest of the villains continue their attack. Terrified, Katsuma and Maruo attempt to contact Class 1 headquarters, but Bakugo is the one to answer the phone. Not believing her at first, Bakugo attempts to decline the call but Deku hears the exchange and takes the phone. Just before Deku can answer back, the phone service is cut off after Chimera destroyed the communication towers, rendering all connections to the outside world severed. Once the connection is cut off, the villains continue with their invasion. Mummy focuses his efforts on attacking the urban area near the mall, where Minoru, Toru, and Yuga are patrolling. Mummy quickly overpowers them with his quirk, mummification, to reanimate non-living objects into massive puppets. While Yuga attacks with his naval laser and Minoru fights back with his pop-off, Toru tries to contact headquarters, but she discovers that the communication service is dead. Chimera is confronted by Masharao and Fumikage while Zuyu and Mezzo evacuate the residents and the tourists that are on the beach. Masharao attacks Chimera with Tornado Tail Dance, but the villain blocks his attacks so easily with one hand because his quirk gives him animalistic speed and strengths of different kinds of animals. Fumikage attempts to attack with Dark Shadow, but the villain blocks the attack, much to the latter's shock. Outmatched, Masharao orders Fumikage to head back to headquarters to request backup. Back at Class 1 headquarters, the heroes are confused about why the phone service is dead until one of the residents notifies them of a villain attacking the shopping district as Fumikage returns to report a villain attack at the beach. Quickly, Tenya devises the plan of action. He splits the class into groups in order to deal with the separate threats. Katsuki, Ijiro, and Denki will go to the shopping district and intercept the villain with Momo, Kyoka, and Mina assist with medical evacuation while he, Shoto, Hanta, Sato. Fumikage will intercept the villain at the beach as Akako and Koda assist with the evacuation of the tourists and residents. At the downtown hospital clinic, Minoru, Yuga, and Toru fend off against Mummy and the endless army of mummified puppets. Uia and Minoru reach their quirk limits but luckily, Bakugo's team intervenes and provides assistance. While Bakugo, Denki, and Ijiro fight off against the mummified puppets, Momo, Kyoka, and Mina evacuate the local residents nearby. During the battle, the villain is able to wrap Bakugo up and turned him into a mummified puppet using his costume. He proves too much for Denki and Ijiro but Bakugo is able to free himself by detonating one of his grenadier bracers and defeats the villain using his grenadier bracer to release a highly concentrated explosion at point-blank range, knocking the villain unconscious before heading off to find more villains. Back on the beach, Masharao continues to fight Chimera before being defeated after taking a devastating punch. Mezzo attempts to fight the villain, but Chimera caught him and starts to strangle him with raw strength before Tenya and his team arrive to intercept the villain. Despite Hanta, Shoto, Tenya, Fumikage, and Rakido's teamwork, the villain proves to outmatch everyone before he incapacitates Rakido. Meanwhile, Katsuma and Maruo run away from the scene of the fighting and attempt to get back home, but they run into Nine, who destroys their home. The villain uses his quirk to scan the little kids and finds out that Katsuma has the exact cell activation quirk he needed. Before Nine can steal Katsuma's quirk, Deku arrives and rescues the kids, using his quirk to escape through a forest area and get the kids to safety. Deku then fights Nine using 20% one for all, but Nine uses his air wall quirk to create a barrier that is made of highly compressed air to shield himself. Deku then retreats after Nine uses his bullet laser quirk to shoot purple laser beams at him. Deku then realizes that Nine has the same quirk as All for One, and attacks using Delaware Smash Air Force. But Nine uses the air wall quirk to shield himself and retaliate by using it to push a gust of wind directly at Ijuku. He then activates One for All full cowl at 100% and uses St. Louis Smash, creating a massive air pressure shattering the ground and blowing away trees, but despite increasing his power, Deku was still unable to stop Nine. Using his scanning quirk, Nine realizes that Deku has an interesting quirk and attempts to use his All for One quirk to steal it. While 9 tries to steal Izuku's quirk, something stopped the process, leaving Izuku temporarily immobile. 9 is surprised that he can't steal Deku's quirk, and assumes that, due to him also possessing multiple quirks, he has no room for them all. Disappointed for not being able to snatch his quirk, 9 blasts a defenseless Deku, slamming him hard against a nearby hill. Maru and Katsuma try to help Deku, but he orders them to flee, using Black Whip to move them away, while standing up. 9 proceeds to shoot a purple laser towards Deku, however Deku dodges it, then activates smoke screen to hide his location, using Danger Sense to dodge 9's random laser beams. Having had enough of this, 9 activates his weather manipulation quirk, creating a massive storm, preparing to use the area of effect damage from his lightning strike to kill Deku. However, Deku manages to escape at the last second using Float and 1-for-all Air Force, thanks to being warned by Danger Sense about the incoming attack. Now out in the open, 9 activates his Hydra quirk, swinging them towards Deku, who manages to dodge them with Black Whip, Float, Danger Sense and 1-for-all. Suddenly, 9 collapses to the ground due to the backlash of using multiple quirks with his cell degeneration disease. Arriving to help 9, Slice and Chimera stand between Deku and 9, protecting him. Slice uses her quirk to provide support, firing sharp strands of hardened hair towards Deku while Chimera charges towards Deku, entering his advanced form. Firing a massive superheated fire beam at Deku, however Deku dodges it, using Float to hover above it, then blocking a full power attack from Chimera which would have crushed most people. However Deku easily catches it, wrapping him in Black Whip, immobilizing him, knocking out with a swift chop to the neck. Shocked at how swiftly Deku took down Chimera, Slice attempts to run away carrying 9, while firing towards Deku, however Deku easily nullifies her attacks with Air Force. Wrapping her legs with Black Whip, making her trip over, pulling her towards him, once again using a swift chop to the neck to knock her out. Realizing that his dream will fail if he doesn't continue fighting. So he uses the entire empowering drug in his life support system which amplifies his weather manipulation quirk to the maximum and summons a massive fire tornado and lightning storm and begins to destroy everything on the island. Due to the magnitude of the weather attack, if Deku were to dodge it, the island would be destroyed, killing all its residents, so Deku prepares to use all his strength to destroy it. Using F-Agin and 1-for-all 100% to negate the tornado. Shocked, 9 another massive storm on the island, destroying much of the island's infrastructure. Realizing this one is much stronger than the last, Deku activates 1-for-all 100% F-Agin. And uses Gear Shift Overdrive to increase the speed at which he accelerates through space while ignoring the laws of inertia. With all his power quirks activated, Deku punches the air with a Detroit Smash to negate the attack, completely dissipating the storm, allowing the sun to once again shine through. 9 is just shocked by what he just witnessed, but he still refuses to give up on fulfilling his dreams, and engages Deku in an intense combat, releasing all his quirks at their maximum power. Knowing he doesn't have much time to use Overdrive due to its negative effects, Deku deactivates it, and after a lengthy fight, Deku finally manages to defeat 9 once and for all using a St. Louis Smash to 9's neck, launching him miles away and breaking every bone in his body, leaving him unable to move a single muscle, effectively ending the threat. After a couple hours, Shigaraki warps in, placing his hand on 9's face, finishing him. At the same time, after Class 1 emerged victorious over the threat, a large number of heroes and a rescue team arrived on Nabu Island, rescuing any civilians who remained trapped, medically treating them, and providing humanitarian aid. As Hawks rescues Fumikage, Toshinari meets up with Deku, congratulating him on the victory, telling him that he was definitely correct to choose him as his successor, making Deku cry with tears of joy. Over the next few days, Class 1AM remained to help the island recover despite the program being suspended by the Hero Safety Commission. With the island being repaired by the military and the heroes, Class 1 aboards a ferry to leave. Katsuma and Maru, who are reunited with their father, say their goodbyes to Class 1 for protecting them and saving the island. Katsuma promises to get stronger and Izuku tells him that he can become a hero and he will be waiting for him at UA High School. A few weeks later, they would then have their hero work studies, and because Night Eye is still alive, Deku had the option to once again go to Night Eye's agency. However, in the end he chose Endeavor so that he can learn how the number 1 works. While on his work study, Deku easily managed to keep up with the number 1, even managing to save many of the citizens from villains before Endeavor could even arrive. This would continue until they would get a request from the World Heroes Missions Organization to help out in the takedown of Humarise. Like usual, Despite searching for Flect Turn in multiple bases, they couldn't find him, so while the pro heroes continue to search, Deku, Bakugo and Shoto are forced to do basic chores. While shopping for the team, they would notice a bank robbery and instantly jump in to stop it. Due to plot, despite Deku being immensely faster than Rody, Deku still fails to recover the case before it was accidentally switched, realizing he had made a mistake at the train station, allowing him to leave. Upon exiting the train station, Rody is fired at by the police, so Deku swoops in, saving him, trying to explain to the police that he has done nothing wrong. However, they continue to shoot at them, so Deku decides to escape the police, using Black Whip and Float to swing through the city, avoiding gunshots from the police and arrows from a Humorize member. Escaping underwater. Shortly after this incident, the news would slander Deku, branding him a serial killer on the run, so Deku is forced to escape the country with Rody. While on the run, Deku and Rody get to know each other, becoming somewhat close. However, in an attempt to try and save himself, Rody would attempt to hand over the case to Humorize. However, despite having an agreement, the villains still kill him, but luckily Deku arrives, saving him, beating the villains. While on the run, they would be attacked again, but Deku easily managed to beat them, using Black Whip to pull the helicopter to the ground and bind the villains, until Shoto and Bakugo arrive. After that, they discover the secret to the case, getting some sort of shutdown key and a memory stick. After going through the memory stick, they find a secret base and the purpose of the shutdown key. At the same time, Flect Turn would reveal his plan and the location of their trigger bombs, giving them 2 hours to save everyone. Not having much time, Deku would use Float, F.A. Jin, and One for All, to fly ahead of the plane with everyone else, pulling it with Black Whip, arriving at the base before they would usually. Easily beating the quirkless members and the members with quirks, leaving Bakugo to take care of them while Deku and Shoto move on further inside. While on their way in, Deku would allow Shoto to take care of the Leviathan villain, continuing to reach the disarming point, coming face to face with Flect Turn. After asking Flect Turn to surrender, and him denying, telling him about his past and how quirks are a disease that will destroy humanity, Deku would have no other option but to engage with him. Using a 100% smash, which Flect Turn surprisingly managed to reflect back on him. Upon seeing this, Deku would continue to punch, activating F.A. Jin as well, using the stored up kinetic energy from his punches and gear shift overdrive to overpower the reflection, shattering it. Knocking out Flect Turn, deactivating the bombs, saving everyone. Okay guys, this is the end of the 8th part of What If Deku Could Use 100% One for All from the start. If you enjoyed this What If, please consider dropping a comment, like, subscribing to the channel and turning on the notification bell to be notified about all What Ifs I upload. With this out the way, this is Demonic Saiyan saying bye.